Every Zhou family wedding runs into a supernatural dead end. When the curtain of the sedan chair is lifted, the bride has been replaced by a scarecrow in a wedding dress. No one knows where the real bride went. Vanished without a trace. This time, the bride is me. But what they don't know is that I'm a master exorcist. And my friend is the last in a line of ancient geomancers. Did you know that fate gives you a sign before you die? Take this bowl of noodles, for example. It looks and smells incredible, but you can't taste a thing. That's because you're about to die. You won't last 3 days. The soon-to-be dead can't taste the food of the living. The young woman sitting across from me was rattled by my words. Hesitantly, she spooned up some of the rich, white broth. Her face instantly turned paler than the soup. It was already 8 p.m., and the little noodle shop was down to its last 2 tables of customers. An old guy at the next table overheard us, took a bite of his own noodles, and then grabbed his throat in terror. Oh no, these noodles have no flavor. I'm going to die too. The woman panicked even more, scrambling to her feet with a sob in her voice. Are you serious? Stop messing with me. I gave her a calm, all-knowing look. Don't worry, I can save. Before I could finish, the owner rushed out from the kitchen, wiping his hands on his apron. So sorry, I forgot to put salt in that last batch of noodles. He grabbed a salt shaker and generously seasoned the old man's bowl. The old guy took a sip of the broth, and his face went from ashen to red. Furious and embarrassed, he glared at me and yelled, "You little liar! You nearly scared me to death." After the old man's outburst, the young woman wouldn't believe a word I said. She angrily grabbed her bag and stormed out. "Chloe, wait up." I hurried after her, trying my best to reason with her. "I'm not a con artist. You're really going to die. Haven't you noticed? For the past 2 days, you've had trouble hearing what people are saying. The only words that come through clearly are things like death, burial, grave, and so on. That's your ears starting to tune in to the whispers of the underworld." Chloe Jensen stopped, took a deep breath, and pulled out her phone right in front of me. "If you don't leave me alone, I'm calling the cops." This was exhausting. We were passing a mall, so I grabbed her wrist and pulled her into the nearest clothing store. "Here, look in the mirror. What do you see?" To be fair, Chloe wasn't unattractive. She had fair skin and was tall and slender. Her features were just a bit plain. Small eyes, full lips, not exactly what's trending right now. "What do you think Derek sees in you?" That hit a nerve. Chloe exploded. "What's that supposed to mean? So just because I'm from a normal family and I look average, I don't deserve a perfect love story? If Derek doesn't like me, is he supposed to like you instead? Get lost. Just get the hell away from me. Seriously? I'm trying to save her life and I have to take this abuse." My patience wore thin. My face went cold as I stared her down. "You have an ordinary family, an ordinary degree, and a job that pays $5,000 a month with no weekends off. Derek Zhou comes from a massively wealthy family, he's handsome, and he's only ever dated celebrities and heiresses. The balance in any one of his bank accounts is a number longer than your phone number. And you really think a man like that fell for you at first sight and can't live without you? Wake up. This is a classic romance scam. You want his love, but he wants your life." Chloe wasn't from around here. She didn't understand that marrying into this city's wealthiest family, the Zhous, wasn't so simple. The Zhou family has a bizarre wedding tradition. Everything has to be done according to ancient customs. The bride must wear a traditional red wedding gown, ride in an ornate sedan chair carried by 8 men, and pass through the woods in front of the Zhou family mansion. And the procession has to take place at the stroke of midnight. Normal people get married in the morning. Only ghost marriages happen in the middle of the night. Even stranger, every single one of those brides has mysteriously disappeared in those woods. Vanished without a trace. All the current wives of the Zhou men are their second wives. The rumor around town is that the Zhou men are cursed to outlive their spouses. They have to lose their first wife before they can successfully marry and have children. Most people scoffed at the story. After all, it had been a full decade since the last Zhou bride disappeared. And in 3 days, Chloe Jensen was scheduled to get into that sedan chair and become the next Mrs. Zhou. I got close to her for one reason. to take her place in that chair and find out why the brides keep disappearing. This was a mission from the damn lunar covenant. Once I complete it, I'll be promoted to a high elder in the covenant and get to meet the director. And when I do, I'm going to burn that whole cult to the ground. Chloe started crying. Snot and tears streamed down her face. It was a pathetic sight. My head was throbbing. Time to bring out the big guns. I'll tell you why Derek chose you. The Zhous have a long list of requirements for their brides. First, their entire astrological chart must be Ein. That means your zodiac sign has to be a rat, ox, rabbit, goat, rooster, or pig. And you have to be born in the 2nd, 4th, 6th, 8th, 10th, or 12th lunar month. Second, you must be a virgin. Third, you must be the eldest daughter, with no older siblings who died in childhood. Think about it. Didn't Derek ask you about that? Fourth, you have to have seen a dead body and personally dressed a corpse in its burial clothes. You told Derek about that too, didn't you? With every point I made, the color drained further from Chloe's face. By the end, she was trembling uncontrollably. Chloe was just a run-of-the-mill employee at a subsidiary of the Zhou Group. When she was hired, the company's onboarding paperwork required her to fill out her exact date and time of birth. So what should I do? Chloe finally whispered, her voice hoarse. It looked like she was finally starting to believe me. Arrange for 3 bridesmaids. You'll blend in with them, and I'll take your place in the sedan chair. Chloe looked up, still hesitant. She looked like she was afraid I was trying to steal her husband. I gave her a massive eye roll. What are you worried about? If everything goes fine, we'll just switch back. Is Derek really going to refuse to recognize his own wife? The Zhou wedding was an extravagant affair. Since Chloe was from out of state and didn't have a house here, Derek had gifted her a massive luxury condo. On top of that, he gave her a $2.88 million bride price and 28 pieces of gold jewelry. The cash was packed in cases, spread out on a table with the gold. The whole display was so dazzling it hurt to look at. Chloe's parents had never been so proud in their lives. All their relatives swarmed around them, showering them with flattery while seething with envy. Oh my heavens, I knew Chloe was destined for great things when she was just a little girl. Hey sis-in-law, my daughter is still single. Think you could ask your son-in-law to set her up with someone? Doesn't have to be as good as the Zhous, just in the same ballpark. Goodness gracious, all this jewelry. How is Chloe ever going to wear it all? The older folks were busy sucking up, while the younger women crowded around the jewelry. The rest of the young men, however, were gathered around us, their eyes darting between me and my friends, though most of them were fixated on Faye. Chloe, are these your friends? I didn't know you had such beautiful friends. You should introduce me to your cousin here. I glanced over. The man who spoke was short and stout, built like a fire hydrant. His eyes were glued to Faye, and he couldn't seem to look away. Chloe looked embarrassed. Josh, these are my colleagues. Then she gave us an apologetic smile. This is my cousin Josh. I gave a noncommittal nod and went back to admiring the gold. Interesting. Very interesting. These were all grave goods, buried for at least a few hundred years. It seemed the Zhou family's secrets ran even deeper than I thought. Hey beautiful, let me get your number. Josh grinned sleazily, holding his phone out to Faye. Faye didn't even bother to look up. Get lost. Humiliated in front of everyone, Josh's voice cracked as he yelled, Fuck! Don't be a bitch when I'm being nice. You're just some worthless office drone. You want me to have my brother-in-law fire you? Faye was not one to take that kind of disrespect. She stood up without a word and raised her hand to slap him. This hothead. I lunged forward and grabbed her arm. Faye, calm down. Maya grabbed her other arm. We have a job to do later. Save your energy. Pinned between us, Faye had no choice but to bottle her rage. But of course Josh wouldn't let it go. He marched right up to Faye and stuck his face out. Go on, hit me. Do it. I dare you to lay a finger on me. I'll make you regret it for the rest of your life. The room was full of Chloe's relatives. Seeing the drama, a few of the younger guys started jeering. Yeah, Josh, let her hit you. If she messes you up, she'll have to marry you to make it right. Ha 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 ha, good point. One slap for a hot wife, not a bad trade. I don't know, a face like that has to be fake. Totally. Who knows how many guys she's been with? She's probably dirty. Fun for a night, but you can't make a wife out of her. The words had barely left his mouth when the room erupted with the sound of slapping. It was a continuous barrage, like dozens of firecrackers going off at once. Mixed with the slapping were cries of pain. Ow! Help! I was a whirlwind, my feet tracing the Big Dipper steps as I moved through the room like a phantom dragon. Everywhere I went, you could hear the slaps, but you couldn't see me. 21. 22. 31. Just as I thought. When it came to pure fighting ability, Faye and Maya together could barely keep up with me. I had landed 31 slaps, while Faye only got 21, even fewer than Maya. Faye was not happy about it. 22. 23. But the young guys who'd been running their mouths were already on the floor. There weren't enough cheeks left for her to slap. So, she started attacking indiscriminately. She saw a man, marched up, and delivered 2 quick slaps. The son's mistake is the father's fault. Slap, 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 slap. Chloe's dad had been about to scold us, but seeing this, he immediately dove behind his wife, peeking his head out pathetically. Just so we're clear, you can hit them, but you can't hit me. The room was dead silent. Everyone stared at the 3 of us in disbelief. The women were shocked and furious, wanting to wail but afraid of getting slapped themselves. Finally, Chloe's mom mustered the courage to step forward. Hitting people is illegal. Just then Faye, looking tired from all the slapping, scanned the room. She finally spotted Josh, his face swollen like a pig's head. So you still want my number? Josh had only ever seen moves like that in kung fu movies. He shook his head so fast it looked like a toy drum. Mercy, warrior goddess. In the end, it was Chloe who smoothed things over. Josh, stop making trouble. You don't understand. These 3 are with the Zhou family. They're professional handlers. They've seen some action. She mumbled the word handlers, leaving it open to interpretation. The room got even quieter. Anyone who still had objections was now looking at the floor. Chloe's mom forced a placating smile. It was our Josh's big mouth. He deserved a few slaps. Her words were met with a chorus of agreement. Yes, yes, men are tough. A few hits won't hurt. I get hit at home all the time. It's fine. They say you only tease the ones you love. After that, everyone got along swimmingly. Even when I put on the bride's traditional red wedding dress right in front of them, no one dared to say a word. Chloe's mom agonized for a moment before pulling her daughter, now in a bridesmaid's dress, aside and whispering, "If she wants to be the primary wife, just let her. We've already got the bride price, so we're not losing out. Whatever you do, don't provoke her. You're too fragile to take a beating like that." I was speechless. Me, the primary wife? What league did Derek Zhou think he was in? Did he really think he was worthy? Chloe just nodded distractedly. Okay, I get it. The Zhous will be here to pick up the bride soon. Everyone get ready. The Zhou family's bridal pickup was unlike any other. There were no traditional welcoming ceremonies or door games. They just sent 2 cars. 8 burly men in stern, black tunic suits got out, their expressions grim. They looked less like they were attending a wedding, and more like they were going to a funeral. The man in the lead was bald, with a scar running down from the corner of his eye. He walked straight up to me and stared coldly. The bride gets in the car. Everyone else stays here. He thought I was the bride. Oh right. I was wearing the red wedding dress. Chloe was sitting off to the side in the pink cheapao I was supposed to wear. So the Zhou family's people really didn't know what Chloe looked like. And for something as important as picking up the bride, Derek himself hadn't even bothered to show up. I fidgeted with my dress, pretending to be nervous as I asked the bald man, "Can't the bridesmaids come?" Before he could answer, my eyes welled up with tears. They're my best friends. We promised they'd be there to see me off. If they can't come, then I'm not going. Josh stepped forward too. Yeah, that's right. I'm the brother-in-law. I've never heard of a wedding where the bride's brother isn't invited. The bald man glanced at his watch. It was already 10:30 p.m. According to the Zhou family's rules, the sedan chair had to enter the woods in front of their estate before 11 p.m. Not wanting any more trouble, He frowned and nodded impatiently. Fine. You all ride with the bride. Hurry up. We can't be late for the auspicious hour. The outskirts of the city were divided by a river. On one side, the city glowed with lights and buzzed with traffic. On the other side, it was all mountains and forests, sparsely populated. A single river separated the urban world from the wilderness. And the Joes lived on the other side. After crossing the bridge and driving down one deserted road after another, the car finally reached the woods just before 11. The bald man took a deep breath. Before opening the car door, he once again repeated the rules he'd been drilling into us the entire ride. First, once we're in the woods, no talking. Second, no matter what you hear, do not turn around. Third, do not lift the sedan chair's curtain before dawn. And fourth, no eating in the woods. My ears were ringing from his constant nagging. Yeah, we know. Let's just go. The bald man turned and glared at me. No talking. The moment I stepped out of the car, I knew something was wrong. Maya shuddered, her left hand instinctively forming a celestial sign. After a moment, she started blinking rapidly at me and Faye. Holy shit. There's a massive tomb in these woods. I contorted my face in response. How massive? Maya held up one finger. Faye and I gasped. Holy shit. 1,000-year-old tomb. Josh watched the three of us making faces and hand signals, completely baffled. He squinted, trying to decipher our silent conversation. Just then, the bald man opened the car door for me. I grabbed Chloe's hand and pressed a protective talisman into her palm. Stick close to Faye and don't wander off. Hold on to this, and if anything happens, scream for help. By now, Chloe was completely in my debt. She nodded gratefully and obediently stayed by Faye's side. The bald man shot me a disapproving look and held a finger to his lips. I pretended not to notice and stood quietly by the car. The woods actually had a name. A stone monument stood at the entrance, carved with 3 elegant, cursive characters, Beauty Woods. It was a little ridiculous. The trees in here were a tangled mess of overgrown branches, with strange, jagged rocks scattered about. It didn't look beautiful at all, just eerie and haunted. How was this a beauty wood? Next to the monument stood a sedan chair. The moment she saw it, Maya's eyes nearly popped out of her head. I was just as stunned. Holy crap, a 10,000-hour sedan. What was that? A sedan chair that took a single artisan 10,000 hours to complete. In ancient times, wealthy and powerful families would show off their status through their daughters' extravagant dowries. The sedan chairs the brides rode in were a key part of that display. Poor folks used donkey or ox carts. The slightly better off used 100-hour sedans. The truly rich and powerful used 1,000-hour sedans. Only the wealthiest families, those with power rivaling the emperors, would use a 10,000-hour sedan. The roof of the chair before us was a 7-tiered, four-cornered pagoda. The pagoda was encrusted with various gems and pearls, and the entire body of the chair was covered in shimmering gold leaf. In the car's headlights, it glowed with a mesmerizing, almost blinding light. The body was carved with countless intricate birds, flowers, insects, and animals, so complex that a single glance made you dizzy. Compared to this, a modern Rolls-Royce or Ferrari looked like a pile of scrap metal. Maya couldn't resist reaching out to touch the handrail. This time, the bald man didn't glare at her. He just opened the sedan door and motioned for me to get in. The chair was freezing. The seat was covered with a thick silk cushion, but it felt like I had just sat on a block of ice. I pulled out my phone and quickly typed a message. Holy shit. This sedan chair is made of coffin wood. The bald man said no talking, but he never said anything about no texting. Faye was the first to reply. You're kidding me. Maya was right behind her. Married at midnight, wedded in the dead of night. A coffin for a carriage, this has to be a ghost marriage. And not a normal one. Be careful. This was definitely not a normal ghost marriage. What kind of normal ghost marriage had this level of pomp and circumstance? The sedan chair was lifted smoothly. The 10,000-hour sedan at the Met weighs over 400 pounds. This one was even more ornate and luxurious, probably closer to. But the 8 men carrying it moved as if their feet were winged, walking with incredible speed. Sitting inside, I couldn't feel the slightest sway. I even had the strange feeling that the sedan was carrying them, not the other way around. Hee. As I was staring mesmerized at the two phoenixes carved into the window, a delicate giggle echoed right next to my ear. My brow twitched, but I pretended not to hear it. A moment later, the giggle came again. Oh, this new sister is pretty, but it seems she's a deaf one. What a pity. Then again, maybe it's better to be deaf. It'll save her from hearing all the filth. After a soft sigh, the sedan fell silent again, leaving me completely confused. What was that about? What filth? Why do you stop talking halfway through? Have you no common decency? Lena, there's a river up ahead. We're about to cross a bridge. Holy shit, you'll never guess what I'm seeing. Maya and her damn suspense. Annoying. Spit it out. A photo popped up in our group chat. Along the riverbank were vast fields of bright red flowers. The flowers had thin stems and petals that layered over each other like dragon claws. You could see the flowers but no leaves. They were red spider lilies, the legendary flowers that grow along the banks of the river to the underworld. Did I actually end up in hell? But I don't feel any different. I couldn't take it anymore. I stealthily lifted a corner of the curtain to peek outside. The second I opened a crack, I was staring directly into a pair of large eyes. They were beautiful eyes. Double eyelids slightly upturned at the corners, with thick, long lashes. The only problem was they were inverted. Normal people have dark irises and white sclera. This person had white pupils and black sclera. My body instinctively recoiled in shock, and I leaned back hard. That's when I noticed something was wrong. The hairs on the back of my neck stood straight up. The back panel of the sedan chair was gone. The front and sides of the chair were normal, but the back had become a deep, bottomless tunnel. It looked like a passage in an ancient tomb. The floor and walls were made of thick, blue-green stone slabs, and along the walls stood 2 rows of lamps. The lamps were uniquely shaped, like geese with their heads bowed. I picked my jaw up off the floor and silently sent a picture to Faye and Maya. A moment later, a message from Maya popped up. WTF. WTF WTF WTF. That's a Western Han Dynasty painted bronze goose and fish lamp. Where are you? I sent a second picture. I'm in the sedan chair. No wonder all the brides disappeared without a trace. They must have been taken away by something through this tunnel. In a little while, it would be my turn. Who was going to come for me? And what was at the end of the tunnel? I was actually kind of looking forward to it. Holy shit. What is that thing? Just as my anticipation was building, a terrified scream came from outside the sedan. It was the bald man's voice. I immediately threw open the curtain and leaned halfway out. What are you screaming about? Weren't you the one who said no talking? But when I saw what was outside, I was dumbstruck. On the other side of the bridge stood a line of very familiar people. The same 10,000-hour sedan, the same 8 bearers, the same Chloe, Maya, and Faye in their bridesmaid dresses. Even the short, pudgy Josh trailing behind Chloe had the same sleazy look. Maya scratched her head. The Maya on the other side of the bridge mirrored the action. She let out a sigh of relief and shot the bald man a glare. What are you screaming for? It's just a mirror. The bald man was on the verge of tears, too panicked to even notice I had gotten out of the sedan. We've walked this path for years. There's never been a mirror here. Josh was about to faint from the sheer bizarreness of it all. Hearing that, he shrieked. Impossible. It has to be a mirror. If it's not a mirror, then what is it? To prove his point, he started spinning and jumping around. I never would have guessed the fatso was so agile. The fatso on the other side of the bridge mirrored his every move. Emboldened, Josh went for a very difficult backflip. Unfortunately, he landed on a loose rock and fell flat on his ass. The Josh on the other side didn't fall. He landed perfectly, frowned, and let out a disgusted tisk. As the reality of the situation sunk in, a chill shot up everyone's spines. Chloe screamed and threw herself into Faye's arms. The burly, tough-looking sedan bearers didn't hesitate. They turned and ran. As they ran, the bearers on the other side started to move too. A few blurs of motion flashed past my eyes. In the span of a single breath, the fleeing bearers collapsed to the ground. Their heads rolled to the side like soccer balls kicked by a playful child. The cuts were clean and precise. Inside the fresh wounds, there wasn't flesh and bone, but straw. That's when I realized it. The 8 bearers from before, they were scarecrows. And somehow Faye, Maya, and I hadn't noticed a thing. I turned to Josh, who was shaking like he'd been electrocuted, and tried to comfort him. See? Now there are only 8 bearers left. Nothing to be afraid of. Josh didn't say a word. His eyes rolled back in his head, and he passed out cold. Chloe, however, was surprisingly resilient. She asked Faye through her tears, "Should we call the police?" Faye told her very seriously, "If you call the police, this would probably count as assaulting an officer." To our surprise, after killing the scarecrows, the fake bearers just left us there. Before they went, 4 of them picked up our $10,000 sedan and carried it away. Hey, what's the big idea? You just gonna disrespect us like that? Where are you going? I yelled until I was hoarse, but they acted as if they couldn't hear me, quickly disappearing over the bridge. Maya squatted down, picked up a branch, and jabbed it hard into the space under Josh's nose. Josh screamed and sat bolt upright, looking around in a daze. Where am I? No one answered him. Faye, Maya, and I huddled together to figure out our next move. The sedan's gone. Now what? Faye answered without hesitation. We press on. To the Joe estate first. Maya looked up at the starry sky, her fingers moving in a series of calculations. Finally, she pointed toward the Big Dipper. That 1,000-year-old tomb is in that direction. Chloe's face went white. Derek's house, it's in that direction too. Chloe said she'd actually been to these woods before. Before the wedding, Derek had brought her to meet his parents. It was daytime then, and she just thought the Joe house was a bit remote. How much farther to Derek's place? Chloe thought for a moment, then hung her head in defeat. I just know it's in this direction. I don't remember the exact way. Derek said he was going to take a nap and had the driver close the electric shades on the windows. So I couldn't see anything. Faye pulled out a flashlight. The moment she turned it on, it felt like the sun had just risen. The bright light chased away most of the creepy atmosphere. Josh's eyes widened in amazement. Damn, that flashlight is brighter than Audi headlights. Faye casually tossed one to him and another to Chloe, then started walking forward with purpose. Keep up. Josh stuck close to Chloe, whispering in what he thought was a quiet voice. Chloe, be straight with me. Who are these women really? Chloe made a few vague gestures. Lena's a Taoist master from an ancient order. You know, like an exorcist. She fights demons and stuff. The real deal. And Maya, she's a geomancer. Her ancestors were the Emperor's royal astronomers, you get it. Josh was filled with a newfound respect. Holy Mother! Why didn't you tell me we were with such powerful people? I made a complete fool of myself. Chloe scoffed. Serves you right for being a pervert. The group chatted as they walked, and the mood almost felt like a casual hike. After about half an hour, we came to a forest of stone pillars. As soon as we reached the entrance, a wind kicked up. The wind howled, whistling through the cracks in the jagged stones with a sound like a woman's mournful wail. The path under our feet changed from concrete to stone slabs. The slabs were covered in dark brown moss that made a sharp, scraping sound when stepped on, like fingernails on glass, or like countless hands grabbing at the soles of our shoes. The stone pillars that shot up from the ground were all gaunt and skeletal, like an army of soldiers awaiting inspection. Tattered strips of gray cloth were caught in the crevices, trembling in the wind like the sleeves of a hanged ghost. A few crows perched on the highest stone peaks, silent, their scarlet eyes rotating to watch us. Josh and Chloe stopped talking, huddling silently behind us. Faye voluntarily took up the rear. Maya and I took the lead, and we all proceeded with extreme caution. The moment I stepped into the stone forest, the hairs on my back stood on end. My gut told me there was something evil in here. I just didn't know where it was hiding. It felt like something was hidden inside every single rock. I could feel countless eyes on us. From every direction, everywhere. Hee hee. It was that woman again. I whipped my head around, nearly scaring Chloe and Josh to death. The two of them clung to each other and let out a piercing scream. Faye turned around too. Lena, what did you find? You guys didn't hear that? Faye and Maya both shook their heads. For a second, I thought I'd imagined the voice. Behind me, everything was quiet. It was the same stone forest as before. Wait, something was different. I kept walking forward with a blank expression, but my eyes were constantly scanning our surroundings, and my ears were pricked. There was definitely a sound. It was very faint, like the grinding of stone against stone. I gave Maya a look and secretly made a hand signal behind my back. We continued to walk forward. We were taking big steps, but if you looked closely, our feet were moving, but we weren't going anywhere. We were just walking in place. Until Faye let out a small cry. Hey, don't step on my shoe. She was the last one in our group of 5. So the question was, who stepped on her shoe? It was a stone statue. Run! At Maya's command, we all broke into a sprint. As we moved, the entire stone forest came to life. Fueled by adrenaline, Chloe and Josh found a surprising burst of strength. They kept up with us, running just as fast. Crack, crack, crack. The stone pillars split open, and from inside leaped out one bizarre beast after another. Some had human faces and animal bodies, some had animal faces and human bodies, and some had 2 heads. Maya's eyes were about to pop out of her head. Holy shit! So many tomb-guarding beasts. Tomb-guarding beasts are funerary objects, usually placed inside ancient tombs. The ancients believed that the underworld was full of various malevolent ghosts that would harm the souls of the dead. So they would place these beasts in the tombs as guardians to protect the souls of the deceased. They shouldn't be out here. They should be in the tomb. Ah, Mommy, help me. Strangely, all the tomb beasts were focused on attacking Josh, completely ignoring the 4 of us. What were these things sexist? Tomb-guarding beasts are not easy to deal with. They're made of stone, so they're immune to fire, water, and blades. They're also incredibly heavy. A beast the size of a human can weigh several hundred pounds. Kicking one would only hurt yourself. Even more annoying, these beasts were made to ward off evil, so they were covered in cinnabar and protective sigils. Normal talismans had no effect on them. After a chaotic fight, Faye had a sprained ankle, and Maya had broken a nail. She cradled her finger and wailed, "Aya, I'm hurt. It's a serious injury. Would I have gotten hurt if you all hadn't dragged me here? This is a workplace injury. I'm filing for workers' comp." Josh was actually crying now. "Lady, have you looked at me?" He was being chased and bitten by a pack of tomb beasts. His shoes were gone, his clothes were shredded, and a huge chunk of flesh had been torn from his left arm, covering him in blood. The scent of blood triggered the beast's ferocity, and the eyes of several of them began to glow scarlet. If this kept up, they were going to tear Josh apart. Even though he was a scumbag, I was one of the good guys. I couldn't just let him die. "Maya, you take Josh and Chloe and get out of here. Faye, you're with me. We'll cover the rear." Josh shuddered and looked up at me in disbelief, his eyes shining brighter than a flashlight. His lips moved for a moment before he mumbled, "Lena, you'd do this for me? Wow, this is the first time a woman has ever been willing to die for me. If I survive this, I swear I'll never let you down." How could someone so disgusting exist in this world? The moment he finished speaking, Faye let out a retching sound. I flew into a rage and kicked him straight into the pack of tomb beasts. "Go to hell, you ungrateful piece of shit." Chloe's soul nearly left her body. "Lena, no. Spare him." Josh tumbled into the beasts, which actually startled them. His hair stood on end, his mind went blank, and he dropped to his knees, slamming his head on the ground 3 times in my direction. "I was wrong. Aya. Have mercy, Master Lena." "That's more like it." I pulled a coiled rope from my backpack, took a running start, and leaped onto the head of the tallest beast. The rope whipped through the air, quickly forming a lasso that tightened securely around the beast's neck. I repeated the process, roping one beast after another. "What are you morons waiting for? Run." Faye grabbed Josh, and the tomb beasts gave chase. But now they were all tied together, and their different running speeds quickly caused them to trip and fall into a tangled heap. Josh's face was flushed with excitement. "Awesome. Sis, you'll always be my sis." An hour later, we finally made it out of the stone forest. This beauty woods was much larger than I had imagined. In the distance, I could just make out the shape of a building against the night sky. As we got closer, I realized it wasn't a building, it was a tower. Chloe pointed at it, her expression complicated. We're here. This is the Jo estate. Seriously? Who the hell lives in a tower? In ancient times, towers always had a special significance, like suppressing monsters or locking down dragon veins. The common belief was that towers could subdue water demons or control mystical energies. A famous temple tower was built on the banks of the Yangtze River specifically to suppress water demons. What was the Jo family's tower meant to suppress? Maya looked up at it from a distance, then started her finger calculations again. The ancient tomb, it's right behind that tower. Josh limped over to me, pointing a trembling finger at a dark figure about 30 feet ahead. Lena, what's that? Between the stone forest and the 9-story Jo tower was a large expanse of rice paddies. It was winter now, so the fields were bare, leaving only dark, loamy soil. The soil looked fertile. The rice grown here must be good. The paddies were divided into neat, square plots by earthen ridges. And in each plot stood a dark figure. I took a few steps closer, and saw that the figure was a man with his head bowed. He wore a long red robe and a straw hat, his tall frame standing with his arms outstretched to the sides. Are you with the Jo family? Where's Derek? He's the groom. Why isn't he here to greet his bride? The man didn't make a sound, just kept his arms outstretched as if practicing a kung fu stance. I looked around for a rock to throw, but the ground was impeccably clean. Not a single rock, not even a weed. I glanced around, then pointed at Josh's wrist. Nice watch. Let me see it. Josh looked smug. It's a Rolex. Took me a whole year's salary to save up for it. Cost tens of thousands. A second later, his tens of thousands went flying toward the figure. The watch hit the man squarely on the head, knocking off his hat and revealing a head full of straw. Another scarecrow. I should have known. What else would be standing in that bizarre pose? Josh's scream got caught in his throat. He swallowed hard, his voice trembling. That scarecrow. I think it's smiling at us. I corrected him. It's not smiling at us. It's smiling at you. All the scarecrows wore creepy clown masks. The mouth on the one closest to us was stretching wider and wider, its grin taking up half its face. Almost as soon as I finished speaking, all the scarecrows simultaneously pulled their legs out of the ground and started running toward us. They were so fast, they'd leave an Olympic sprinter in the dust. They ran with their heads down, faces hidden under their hats, their red cloaks billowing in the wind. If it weren't for their stupid, arms outstretched posture, they would have looked like a group of elite assassins. I pulled a collapsible baton from my bag, snapped it into place, got into a stance, and charged forward at the same speed. The moment I engaged the first scarecrow, I knew something was wrong. Holy shit, this thing actually knows kung fu. The scarecrow's arms could bend, and it opened with a set of Tongbiquan fist techniques. Its arms were made of wooden sticks wrapped in sheet metal. After a few exchanges, I was seeing stars, wincing in pain. Ow ow ow, fuck, that hurts. Maya was right behind me with her own baton. When she heard me yelling, she did an abrupt U-turn and ran back the way she came. It was a single, fluid motion, without a moment's hesitation. That fucking traitor. Seriously. Are you even human? Have you no loyalty? With Maya gone, all the scarecrows that had been targeting her turned on me. I was instantly surrounded. It's hard enough to fight off multiple opponents, let alone dozens of them. Especially when they're a bunch of scarecrows that don't feel pain, don't bleed, and don't cry. In the critical moment, it was Faye who came through. Her hands flew through a series of seals as she threw a handful of talismans into the air. Mars guards the heart, fire lends its might. Burn the ghouls and turn them to ash. Ball after ball of fire rained down from the sky, striking the scarecrows with pinpoint accuracy. It had been sunny for days, and the straw was bone dry. They ignited instantly. What are you waiting for? Run! Kung fu scarecrows were dangerous enough. A whole field of flaming, thrashing kung fu scarecrows was even worse. Our group took off again, running for our lives. Derek, are you home? Chloe was a bit of a hopeless romantic. Even now, after everything that had happened, she still held on to some fantasy about Derek. She imagined he'd appear like Prince Charming, riding on a rainbow-colored cloud to save her from this nightmare. Derek, open the door. There are monsters chasing us. I was just about to tell her to shut up when the main door actually opened. A figure stumbled out. It was Derek. His handsome face was covered in wounds, and a coin-sized hole on his left cheek was gushing blood. Derek kept looking back over his shoulder as he ran, his expression a mixture of terror and desperation. When he saw us, especially Chloe, his face lit up with wild joy. Chloe, save me. Help me. He was stumbling, but with his long legs, he closed the distance to Chloe in just a few steps. HNGH. Right on his heels, several more figures burst out of the doorway. From their clothes, they looked like the Zhou family's servants. One of them, a heavy-set man, was even wearing a chef's hat. Zombies. Seeing them gave chase, Derek screamed and shoved Chloe directly at them. Eat her, not me. A woman's meat is more tender. Mine is sour and tough, it doesn't taste good. As a rich kid, Derek kept himself in good shape. Naturally, that meant he had good stamina. After shoving Chloe, he tried to make a break for it. Faye, quick as a flash, flew forward and kicked him squarely in the chest. Maya raised a thunder command talisman and yelled, "Leave this to me." Hep, that coward. Always picking on the weakest ones. The three of us made short work of a few zombies. Derek, clutching his now staunched face, followed timidly behind us. Only when he was sure the entire house was clear of anything but him did he collapse to the floor and burst into tears. Wah. Dad, Mom, bro. You all died so horribly. No matter what I asked him, he just kept his head down and cried, ignoring me completely. The house, though shaped like a tower, was decorated like a mansion. It was opulent but tasteful, the main hall filled with what was clearly priceless antique Chinese furniture. But the once luxurious home was now a vision of hell. Everywhere you looked, there was blood. On the sofa, the coffee table, the walls, the floor. One corpse after another, chewed beyond recognition, lay on the ground. A few of the bodies were still twitching, looking like they were about to reanimate at any moment. Josh and Chloe took one look and started vomiting in a corner. I had no patience for Derek's crying. Talk or we're leaving. Maya waved a fist in front of his face. And we'll tie you to a post before we go. Want to test us? Derek wiped his tears away and shakily got to his feet. Don't go. I'll talk. Josh and Chloe stopped retching. They wiped their mouths and came closer, their faces pale. Chloe, out of habit, started to move toward Derek, but then she stopped, bit her lip, and moved to Faye's side instead. Even the most love-struck brain can't handle being used as a human shield against a horde of zombies. The Zhou family's tower had only been built in the last few years. Its purpose was to suppress the great tomb behind it. The Zhou family's ancestors were tomb raiders. Derek said the tomb belonged to a prince from the Liang dynasty of the northern and southern dynasties period, a man named Xiaohong. Prince Xiao had been debauched in life, and after death, his soul became a powerful ghost who continued his life of decadence underground, surrounded by a harem of ghost and demon wives. But after centuries, he had grown tired of the consorts in his subterranean palace. So the Zhou ancestors made a pact with him. Prince Xiao would spare their lives and guarantee their family's wealth for generations. In return, the Zhou family had to offer him every new bride of their descendants. Maya started counting on her fingers. The Liang dynasty was over 1,500 years ago. Even if your family gave him one bride every 10 years, that's still 150 women. Oh my God, you monsters! Derek hung his head, not denying the accusation. Yes, so many brides. But Prince Xiao was still not satisfied. For a living woman to marry a ghost, there has to be a ghost marriage ceremony. But normal people have too much yang energy. Only women who meet specific criteria can do it. We live in a society with laws now. It's not like the old days when lives were cheap. Girls who fit the criteria are already rare. He looked up at Chloe with an embarrassed expression. And Prince Xiao started complaining that the girls we sent weren't pretty enough. Before each ghost marriage, the Zhou family would burn a photo of the girl as an offering to Prince Xiao. His long simmering dissatisfaction with the family finally boiled over. And the Zhous, for their part, had long grown to despise Prince Xiao. Because he was an insatiable lecher. He didn't just want the Zhou family brides. Every year, on the 15th day of the 7th lunar month, when the ghost gate opens and Yin energy is at its peak, he would sneak out of the tomb and into the Zhou house. Any beautiful woman in the household was fair game. Zhou wives, Zhou daughters, Zhou maids. Unable to bear it any longer, the Zhou family secretly built the tower to suppress Prince Xiao and keep him from leaving his tomb. Unfortunately, it didn't work. And while Prince Xiao had spared Derek's life, he had cursed him. He warned Derek that from now on, he had to help him find beautiful women. The more beautiful, the better. After hearing the story, Faye sneered. Tisk, dogs eating dogs. But it was the innocent victims who were truly pitiful. When a living person marries a dead one, the influx of Yin and deathly energy preserves their beauty, but they can only live for 10 years. And for those 10 years, they suffer the constant agony of Yin energy gnawing at their bones. It was like having their bones scraped with a knife, every second of every day. They had to endure that pain for a decade. And after they died, their souls couldn't be reincarnated. They were trapped for all eternity in the underground palace, forced to continue serving as Prince Zhao's ghost brides. God, the more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Chloe, what are you waiting for? Punch him. Chloe had been trembling ever since she heard Derek's story. After I patiently explained the suffering of a ghost wife, she looked up, her eyes red. Then, she gritted her teeth and gave Derek a light tap on the chest. The force was so gentle. You'd think they were flirting. Useless. Josh, your turn. You watch Derek. We're going underground to have a little chat with this Prince Xiao character. Josh's teeth ground together. Don't worry. I'll take good care of this bastard. He balled his fist, stepped forward, and punched Derek in the stomach. This is for trying to marry off my sister to a ghost. This is for looking down on people. This is for being an evil piece of shit. This is for your entire rotten family tree. And this is for being so damn handsome. In the Zhou family's basement, a tunnel led directly into the depths of the ancient tomb. Seeing the goose-shaped lamps along the path, I realized this was the same tunnel I had seen from inside the sedan chair. After walking for a short while, my eyes suddenly lit up. The tunnel walls were covered with countless paintings of beautiful women. They were standing, lying down, admiring flowers, chasing butterflies, or swinging on swings. Plump, slender, and everything in between, a dazzling, mesmerizing pageant of beauty. They were so beautiful. Maya and Faye were also transfixed, and the three of us stood silently, staring at the portraits. They were so young, so lovely. They could have had wonderful lives. They could have excelled in their chosen fields, married good men, and lived their lives in whatever way they chose. They had lovers, families, and friends. But now they were trapped in this underground palace, possessions of Prince Xiao, living like zombies day after day, never to be buried in their family plots, with no descendants to honor them, no offerings of incense. Prince Xiao deserved to die. No, wait, he was already dead. The three of us rolled up our sleeves and marched forward, radiating killing intent. Sisters, why have you come here to die? Hee hee, I like the one in the middle. She's so pretty. Since you're here, sister, why don't you stay and keep us company? Don't talk nonsense. Let them go. They should run before that demon finds them. The paintings came to life. Countless beautiful women stepped out from the walls, and the air filled with a cloying, sweet scent of perfume and powder. One of them flicked a handkerchief at my face, another gently tugged my hair, and another pinched my cheek. Hey, stop grabbing my ass. That's crossing a line. I felt like a monk who had stumbled into the land of women, blinded by a whirlwind of hairpins and skirts. These women meant us no harm. They were just trying to stop us from leaving the tunnel. I walked in a daze for a while, only to find myself back where I started. A simple ghost-built wall like this couldn't hold us. Faye lost her patience and pinched two Thunderfire talismans between her fingers. Get out of our way, or I won't be so nice. By the order of the Supreme Lord. The women scattered, and someone even stomped on my foot as they fled. Tisk, ungrateful brat. Exactly. Can't even tell friend from foe. Countless masters and monks have failed here. A few little girls think they can succeed? So arrogant. Forget them. They won't learn until they're staring death in the face. They'll be one of us soon enough. Let's go. The tunnel fell silent again. The paintings hung quietly on the walls, as if the whole thing had been a hallucination. We picked up the pace, and soon the tunnel opened into a vast chamber. Maya gasped, her eyes shining with greed, her mouth open wide enough to fit an egg. Even Faye, who was used to wealth, was stunned for a moment. Holy Mother of God! Before us was an incredibly lavish hall. In the center was a massive hot spring pool made of the finest jade, surrounded by a row of golden phoenix heads. The phoenixes' mouths were slightly open, constantly spouting steaming water into the pool. The entire hall was lit without a single candle. The ceiling was inlaid with countless luminous pearls. They were of all sizes, arranged to mimic the sun, moon, and stars. Some were as small as grains of rice, others as large as silver platters, and they all glowed with a brilliant, dazzling light. The ancient tyrant King Zhou had his lake of wine and forest of meat. This was a pool of jade and a forest of gold. Wahahahaha. We're rich. We're rich. Maya stood with her hands on her hips, laughing at the ceiling. Then she ran over and hugged me. Lena, you really are my best friend. After we deal with that Prince Xiao, we'll split this tomb 50-50. Ahahahaha. Time to redistribute the wealth. Faye snorted. Oh, and what about me? Maya flew into her arms like a fledgling bird, playfully punching her shoulder. Come on, you're so rich. Why would you care about this chump change? Here, let me give you a shoulder rub. You must be tired. When Faye remained unmoved, Maya gritted her teeth. I'll teach you astrology. Faye forced down a smile. Deal. We hadn't even met Prince Xiao yet, and we were already divvying up his headquarters. That tower might not have completely suppressed him, but it had clearly drained a lot of his power. Plus, he'd just gone on a rampage on the surface, so he was probably hiding in some corner, licking his wounds. This underground palace was so luxurious and complex, with its maze of tunnels, that finding him wouldn't be easy. I thought for a moment, then went back to the tunnel, and found the painting closest to the entrance. The woman in the painting wore a red, off-the-shoulder mini dress. She was pretty, with a small mole on the tip of her nose. This girl was the bride who had married Derek's brother 10 years ago. Sarah. You're Sarah, right? Your parents miss you so much. When your grandmother found out you were missing, she started looking for you everywhere. The old woman saved every penny she had to put up posters. She goes out every morning to hand out missing person flyers. Your grandmother has been looking for you for 10 years. She hasn't given up for a single day. Don't you want to visit her in a dream, just to see her one last time? That last sentence broke her. Sarah flashed out of the painting, dropped to her knees, and started kowtowing to me. Her face streaked with tears when she looked up. If I can just see my grandma one more time, just to let her know I'm okay, I'll do anything. Even if it means my soul is scattered and I can never be reincarnated. Sarah's parents were busy with work, so she had been raised by her grandmother. After she disappeared, her grandmother was the most heartbroken, the one who could never accept it. Maya quickly helped her up, her own eyes turning red. You don't have to sacrifice anything. Just tell us where Prince Xiao is. Sarah's eyes were filled with a determined fire, as if she were about to join the revolution. I know where he is. I'll take you. Having Sarah as our guide was a brilliant move. That bastard Prince Xiao's palace was enormous, bigger than some villages. Even Maya, a geomancer with an excellent sense of direction, was getting turned around. I checked my watch. We had been walking in this place for 2 hours straight. In 10 minutes, it would be the hour of the rabbit. The rooster crows and the world awakens. Young energy rises, and yin energy recedes. The whole night had passed in a blur. No wonder I was so hungry. Ugh. Disgusting. So disgusting. Faye's face was wrinkled in disgust, and Maya had been spitting on the ground the whole way. The murals on the tunnel walls were all pornographic. The women in them were all different and beautiful, but the man was always the same. He had small, triangular eyes, a hooked nose, and fine lines around his eyes when he smiled. He was unattractive and short. This must be that pervert, Prince Xiao. The more I looked, the angrier I got. I wanted to blast him to smithereens with a thunder talisman right now. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to calm down. Prince Xiao had been a ghost for 1,500 years. And he was a ghost cultivator. who knew how powerful he was. To completely destroy him would probably be another huge battle. Ahem, you two have any ideas? Maya actually did have a plan. She said she could set up a simple spirit-absorbing formation. It would allow the ghost women to convert their power into spiritual energy and temporarily transfer it to one of us. Prince Xiao had indeed been cultivating for 1,500 years. But in this palace, there were over 300 ghost women. The oldest among them were the concubines who had been buried with him. If they were willing to help us, we would have more than enough power to take on Prince Xiao head to head. Sarah clenched her fists. I'll go talk to the other sisters. I know I can convince them. Wait for me. Just as I was about to nod, a soft chuckle echoed in my ear. Hey, my dear concubine, where do you think you're going? Without a word, Faye flung a talisman at the shadowy figure that had appeared ahead. Go. Prince Xiao dodged to block Sarah, but the talisman hit him squarely. Crackle. Sparks flew from the shadow's body, and Prince Xiao cursed. Son of a bitch. How does a little brat like you have a celestial thunderfire talisman? The celestial thunderfire talisman was an ancient and powerful charm in the Taoist tradition. The method for drawing it was nearly lost to time. This one was a gift to Faye from her master. Faye really was a woman of few words and decisive action, using her ultimate move right from the start. Sarah ran for it, and Maya started setting up the formation. That left me and Faye to hold off Prince Xiao. He really was a 1,000-year-old ghost. Even after a direct hit from a celestial thunderfire talisman, he was able to get back up. He wore a loose white robe, chest bared, hair disheveled. He looked like he'd been doing some ancient, weird drugs. Prince Xiao's sinister gaze swept over me and Faye. His eyes drifted from Faye to me, then lingered on Faye's chest. Fine. Since you're both so beautiful, I'll grant you the honor of being my beauty paper. Beauty paper was a disgusting practice among some depraved ancient nobles. After using the toilet, they would have a beautiful woman lick them clean, using a beauty as toilet paper. These women were called beauty paper. Faye and I were so furious we were practically smoking. We started throwing talismans like they were free. Heaven's thunder rumbles, earth's thunder roars. 5 thunders descend and obliterate all evil. I'll shove your beauty up your ass. A single golden light splits the darkness. 1,000 demons turn to dust. By the order of the Supreme Lord now. Die, you little sewer rat. I kicked off a wall, launching myself into the air, and showering him with a handful of talismans, blocking all his escape routes. Faye seized the opportunity, gripping her 7-star Emperor sword and sliding on her knees toward Prince Xiao's side. She timed it perfectly, thrusting the sword toward his chest. But Prince Xiao, true to his age, reacted with impossible speed. He shot out a hand and blocked Faye's sword. They were now incredibly close, almost face to face. Prince Xiao's eyes glinted, and he stuck out his tongue, quickly licking Faye's cheek. Ah, I'm going to kill you. Faye went berserk. We had faced death countless times, fought zombies, and destroyed ghost kings. Through all those life or death situations, Faye had always been the picture of calm. This was the first time I'd ever seen her lose it. No, not lose it, go completely feral. Faye in rage mode was terrifying. She was like a 1,000-armed goddess, unleashing every talisman and magical weapon she had at Prince Xiao in a suicidal, all-out assault. Cough, cough, cough. When the black smoke cleared, Faye was on one knee, the hand holding her dagger trembling. And Prince Xiao was still standing there, unharmed. Interesting. Truly interesting. I almost don't want to kill you now. What's the point of conquering your body? Sooner or later, I will conquer your heart. After all these years, a truly interesting beauty has finally arrived. Prince Xiao licked his lips, leering at Faye. God, this guy was so disgusting. Lena. My spirits lifted. It was Sarah's voice. They were here. Faye pushed herself to her feet and yelled to Maya. Quick! Transfer all the power to me. A massive surge of energy rushed into Faye. Her long hair billowed around her, though there was no wind, and her face became as cold and hard as a god of death. Now Prince Xiao wasn't smiling anymore. Faye held her dagger out in front of her and spat out 3 ice-cold words. Now. You. D. Prince Xiao stumbled back in terror and turned to flee. He only made it 2 steps before a blur of motion shot past him. Prince Zhao's ghostly form vanished. In its place on the ground was a single, vibrant red bead. Maya scurried forward like a feral dog and snatched it up. Ahahaha. We're rich. We're rich. It's a ghost core. Faye couldn't hold on any longer. She collapsed to the ground, her face as white as paper. That was exhausting. Woo-wah. Sisters, we're free. We're free. Prince Zhao is gone. That twisted pervert is finally gone for good. Wah, I can finally leave this horrible place. The women hugged each other, crying and laughing at the same time. It was a bittersweet sight. Looks like we couldn't relax just yet. We'd be busy for the next few days performing rites to help them all pass on. Those who could be reincarnated would be, and those who wanted to see their families would get their chance. Maya grinned from ear to ear and puffed out her chest. Don't worry about the rites. Leave it all to me. Wahahaha. After a score this big, I'm taking you all on vacation. I eyed her suspiciously. You're being that generous? A real vacation? Maya nodded emphatically. You bet. 5-star service all the way. I was still skeptical. Where are we going? Maya gave me a sycophantic grin. I'll tell you in the next episode. The end.